Okay, so today it's just an info session to see, make sure that everyone's on the same page with the YEP program from an employer perspective. The agenda today, we're going to be starting with the roles of everyone involved, including yourselves, me, HR, and so on and so forth. We're working also on there's tips here on how to create a good relationship with the student, and some things might be really useful or eye-opening for you. Oh, pardon me. Also showing you our work planner that we've used in the past to help guide the students and yourselves in the work for the summer. Also stating some of the mandatory training that has to happen during the student's employment, or at the beginning, probably. The timesheets, I have an example to show you and a little bit of info about that. The vacation information, so things to be sure of whenever you go on vacation, and some of the hourly information for the students too, just to figure out what their hours need to look like. And then at the end, there's just some special other considerations, some tips, some good to knows that we'll be sharing, and then questions at the end for me or for HR too. I can pass that on, not a problem. And there are also, I believe, some employers in this group right now that have already been employers previously. So maybe if you had some helpful hints or were able to answer a question too, because this is my first year. So maybe the others could help out too. I'm just admitting another person here, just like, hi, Judy. Okay, so we're started. We can I'll start with my first slide. Let's look at our just a second. Oh, there we go. Okay, so the roles. So we have 4 different second, I'm just moving over my window here. Okay, so the student, obviously, their roles are to complete the training at the beginning, kind of like when you joined CFMWS or MFSE, you had to do some training. They have to do the same idea. It's a real job, just like what we were hired on to do, and so they have to do this training also. The assigned tasks that you provide them with or you work on together also has to be looked at, and they have to pretty much fulfill that role. Maybe also I've had students already ask me, well, I need this and I need that and I can't do this, so I've pretty much told them, like, make sure you speak to your employer about it. And they weren't shy to speak to me about it. I just said, you need to be honest with the employer and tell them what you need or what you'd like to do. So I told them to communicate that clearly with you. They need to fill out their timesheets. That's up to them. That's their responsibility in order to be paid. And then it's up to you then to sign them. So they need to bring the sheet to you, you sign it, and then it's submitted to HR. But it's definitely up to them. And if they have questions for you to help them out, fill it out, that's fine also, obviously, but just making sure that they take that responsibility. And then at the end, there will be an evaluation of the program, and that's also up to them. Kind of like when we leave the organization, there is an exit interview to do at the end, and then submit that when they're finished at the end of the summer. The supervisor's role, so that would be the employers, or you, everyone here, assigning tasks that and then making sure they have the right training to complete those tasks is one of the duties, or the roles. making sure that the schedule is well looked at with the student, and making sure that, you know, they kind of are on task so that they can get to the next phase of work. Helping them stay on schedule. These students, some of them, it's their first job, so helping them with that is really beneficial for long term also, so thank you. Correcting or redirecting is probably a better word, redirecting some behaviors that might not be appropriate for the workplace, perhaps. I'm not saying this will happen, but I'm sure there's some things that we can offer them guidance with, because we all have experience in the workforce and these students may not. So just redirecting them if it's needed can be helpful also for these students. The timesheets, like I said, so that's up to you to sign, and then the student would put that into HR. I believe it's the student that physically gives it to HR or mails it into HR or emails it. And so just overseeing that portion and making sure that the timesheet matches the actual time that they've put in. And the evaluation at the end also, I think you will have to do a student evaluation as well as a program evaluation too. So how did the program run this summer? Did you enjoy being part of it? Stuff like that. HR and MFS. So our job is to collect the timesheets, like I said earlier, when the students hand them in, and then paying the students also. So that'll be HR's job. And me, the coordinator, I am here to provide so the CFMWS emails. I know that some employers have asked about that already. Yes, that is in the works. The students just need their employee number, and then they'll be able to get that email. They need the security certificate also, and then the email can be assigned to them. And it's just by asking via the IT, via a ticket, I believe, and then that can happen. So if you need any help or guidance, I'm here to help you out, because I think obviously having that email, even as a student, is probably very handy, especially for those students that are also working remotely. I'm also here to provide the mandatory training. So I'm helping with that and making sure that they have the training done, and that which is all happening on the My Talent, same as how we do our training. And also just being like the middleman between the student and the employer. So making sure that the communication is open and everyone is getting what they need. Okay, not skipping. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now here are some tips for creating a good relationship. So making sure that you start right away with good orientation and training. So everything's out in the open right away. Setting some goals would also be, so the clear expectations, making sure that we have the student can kind of think of, okay, I need to set this for myself this week, this and that, and then they can work at it step by step. And then modeling, so maybe having, you know, the employer model this behavior and saying, oh, I wanted to get this and this and this done today or this week, and I set out to do that, and I did complete them, and then, you know, showing them that how it happened, how it's possible. And then the work planner, which we'll look at in a second. It's essentially, it's like a sheet that you, it kind of guides you on how to plan the work and the goals. And we'll see, actually, there's also a new type of work planner out. I think the social work team in GK has put something out that I believe that the employment education training team is going to start working with that new planner too, but for the time being we have this one. But the new one that we are thinking of trying to use with some of our students for next year is in the works, and it's very nice. But this one here is very similar, so you'll see in a moment. And then just be fair, friendly, firm. I think fair and firm are important because, like I said, these students have not maybe worked ever in a work environment like this summer will be for them. So it's important to give them a great first experience in the workforce. Okay. Is everything good so far? Can I get a thumbs up from somebody? Everyone can hear me?
Thumbs up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, now I know this is really fine print. It's even tough for me to see, and I can't make it bigger, unfortunately, right now. But I think everyone has the presentation that I've sent out, so you can probably zoom in later on. So this is the work planner. It's kind of just a guide on how you could plan out your week or even your day. I think this is a work week schedule, but you could break it down into like a daily work planner if you wanted and tailor it a little bit to them. And there's also even on the, like on my, everyone's right side, there is an objective planner for the whole summer. So I've asked all of the students in their interview already, what do you want to gain out of this summer? And they all came up with fabulous ideas. We have a group of really driven students this year, and I'm very impressed. So I really hope that with the guidance of these work planners, that they can have some clear expectations for themselves and some goals to achieve. And I think that I hope that it'll be a successful summer in that regard. But like I said, there is a really good work planner. Maybe once I get my hands on it, I can send it out to people. I'm not sure if it's actually out there yet, but it's even better than this particular one. So when I get my hands on it, I'll try and share it with everyone. So that's that. So I recommend doing this with the students, sitting down at the beginning and making sure things are clear, and they can participate too, obviously. Okay, the mandatory training is all of the items that they need to cover right at the beginning, similar to how we had to do this when we did the onboarding. It's all done through my talent, just like how we had access to that. So the corporate orientation, that's pretty much, I guess, the employer giving, a tour of the actual location, introducing people, just making sure that you're starting off on the right foot. Obviously the WHMIS and occupational health and safety, the security awareness training that we've all done, recognizing value conflicts, and apparently each year there's a new theme. And then the last one that I think it was the last one I've actually done myself is the security awareness training, the cybersecurity. So also important. And so the students will be on the same page as us whenever for all the onboarding. And they will, it's good training too, because most jobs have some sort of onboarding like this, obviously. So it's all part of the training. Someone's in the chat.
Sorry, Chloe, there's just a comment in the chat there.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so access to my talent. Can you please indicate a long? I believe, if I can speak from my own experience, I think it was about a week for me to make sure I got all these things checked off. That's a great question. I have to look further into it. I don't think they're quite that long. I know the last one, the Kevin Mitnick one, is definitely not that long. The health and safety one might be a bit longer, but I think I can probably get back to you on that, Madeleine. Is that okay? If I write that down? So the my talent question. No problem. Okay. Sounds good. Okay. So but we do talk about it for next in the slides, and there's more information about the training. But these are all the mandatory. They absolutely must happen. Oops. Okay, this is an example of a timesheet.
Sorry,
yeah.
Chloe, there was just a follow-up from Dwayne
Okay.
in the chat too, just about
Sure.
will they be registered in My Talent before their first day?
So yes, they should be, because so in order to work, I believe that they need to have that security certificate. And once they have that, they should have that email account, and they should be in the My Talent also. They were hired through My Recruit also. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. This is a great question. So we might even be able to answer this better, but it should happen before they begin their work. Yes. Or very close to when they start. That's the ideal situation, I believe. Oh, and good question, Sergeant Galarno. They don't have to redo the training, because if they're a YEP student from last year or the year before, they've already done the training. And it's within, I think, so many years, so it's fine. Okay. Okay. Oh, here's another question. Sorry. If you have a start date for a student and they don't have access to My Talent. You probably can delay it. Let me ask also, I'll ask Sophie to see if we can delay, or they start without that, and you can do the portions of the training that don't need My Talent, like the tour around, introducing, and that sort of thing. Unfortunately, I think sometimes getting onto My Talent can be a bit time consuming, just because of the paperwork and the steps to take. So, but hopefully it happens quickly.
Chloe, Indu had her hand up, but it's come down, so I'm not sure if she still had a question.
Sure.
One of the YEP students that I'm supervising for a colleague, she's away this week, so she was able to log in yesterday using her CFMWS email, but it takes about 48 hours for them to access My Talent and core.
Okay.
So
that kind of answers. So once they get their CFMWS account, then the My Talent takes 2 days.
2 days. So if they do get their email, it'd be good for them to log in 2 days before they're about to start. And if it's more than 48 hours, to contact IT for them to see why it's taking long.
Right away. Okay. So yeah, first steps first is the CFMWS email account. So once the security certificate comes back and their employee number is in, then that would be the first step, is the email, and then the My Talent stuff can start 2 days later. I hope that answers it for everyone. Okay. This is an example of a timesheet. Like I said, the students need to keep track of this. And then with your supervision, you sign off on it and say, yeah, that's what they worked. All is good. Hours in. Perfect. And then the date and signature, and then it can be sent into HR. Pretty straightforward. Here are some some more technical parts of the timesheet portion of the presentation. So the students must work a minimum of 3 weeks over the summer, and at least 13 hours of work a week. That's the minimum. And whenever you're, like Indu said, Indu's colleague has a student this week, and the supervisor is away. So Indu is helping supervise this student. So if you do take vacation, when you take vacation, I should say, you need to ensure that someone else can kind of keep tabs with the student temporarily while you're gone. Obviously, after you've kind of set up the student on what to do, maybe working out a work planner for the time you're gone, setting them up for success, and then having someone appointed to as a temporary supervisor while you're gone. Right, Indu?
Correct. So I'm just checking in with her. She already has like a weekly plan on what she's supposed to do every day. So I'll be checking in with her once during the day to see how she's doing. And then she'll message me on Teams if there's any questions, and I'll answer those.
Okay. Thank you, Indu. I appreciate that. So yeah, we just have to help each other out a little bit and make sure that the students are on the right track. Also, yeah, so like Indu said, there's some work that the employer gave the student to make sure to fill the time and to get the tasks done from over the summer. And so that must be handed off to the student when you go on vacation to make sure that they have something to do while you're out of the office. Okay, so this is what the student looks like generally in the EP program. So they're young. We do have mostly first year YEP students, which means they're usually around 16, 17 years old. Some of them have never worked before, so not much experience, maybe just like dog walking and babysitting, but nothing official with a timesheet and being on payroll and having a supervisor. And then sometimes with learning adaptations, which can happen. And so there's a few things that we can do to help the students because it's their first time, making maybe short lists of tasks to do. I'm just going to pause here for a sec to make sure that this question in the chat isn't about something we just spoke about. Yeah, so good question. The students can take vacation, and so it's up to the student. It's part of their role to inform you at the beginning of the work term to tell you, okay, I need to take these 2 weeks with my family because we're going away. That's fine. Yeah, and that's it. The 13 hours minimum a week is when the weeks that they're working. So yeah, that's totally okay. No problem. So yeah, short lists is probably best with these students that are working for the first time. One task at a time, even like I said, and being like Indu was saying earlier, just like she's there on Teams and she's available in case that they do need some more guidance at certain times. So thank you, Indu. That's a good example of how to be available. The communication between the employer and the student and myself and HR, it's like a four-way street there. So we all have to kind of work together, making sure that everyone's on the same page. So communication is key, and maybe pairing them up with someone. If there's another person in the office that maybe they have the student and the person in the office has same goals or similar goals or interests, then maybe, it could be a good chance to do that, pairing them up to see if they want to get some more guidance from that direction too. Don't always assume that they know. Sometimes it just needs to be black and white, very clear. And yeah, you can't really expect them to know things that we might know because we have more experience, more life experience. Yes, sometimes it's easy to do that, but we forget. So we just have to be pretty cut and dry and black and white with these students sometimes. and then asking them to repeat the instructions or the tasks to do would be a useful tip. And then always making sure that they have their questions answered. So, you know, being available, like I said earlier, and just being open to maybe sometimes having them ask the question 2 times, just to be sure, because some students, they need that reassurance. But in the same breath, maybe also trying to give them the confidence that they need to get the job done on their own without asking like the same question all the time too. So it's a fine balance. But yeah, making yourself a bit available and, you know, willing to help too, which I'm sure you all are. Are there any more questions that we didn't touch on? I'm going to stop sharing the presentation and so that I can see you if you do have a question, maybe. There's no hands up right now. I don't know if there's any more.
I'll ask a question, Chloe. Felix over here.
Hi,
Not sure if it
Felix.
was covered because I was a bit late to join the meeting.
Yeah.
Just wondering how we feel about remote working, because my YEF student asked if he could start a bit earlier and if he was able to do some more remote working.
I mean, that's fine. I know remote work is sometimes more tricky and difficult. Some positions are fully remote because the students are located in a remote location, or the employers in Canada at times. So I think that's fine, Felix, as long as you're very clear of the task and you have a good work plan laid out. I think that's fine, as long as you're the employer is okay with it.
Okay, and I'm thinking maybe getting the student to complete their mandatory training. Like, would that be a good example of something that they could complete on their own
Yeah, so
prior to the start of in person?
That's a good point too. The students, when they do their training like this, they need to have access to some sort of computer or, right, obviously. So if they need to use, there is a way around it. If they need to use their own computer to do it, that should be fine. And I believe that it's like, let me ask to make sure, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty free to decide on that if he wants to work remotely for that portion of the training. That's doable, right? I believe that's something that he or she could do that remotely.
Okay.
Is that what you're wondering, Felix, if they can do the training from their own computer at home?
Well, yeah, my student asked if he was able to start a bit earlier and working remotely. And at the time, I didn't have any task that could be completed remotely. But when you mentioned the mandatory training on My Talent, well, that may be an option for him to start a bit earlier.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, of course, let me run it by HR to make sure, but I don't see a problem with that.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. I think Debbie came on to her camera. Did you have a question, Debbie?
Yeah, I do actually. I have
Sure.
a couple of questions for you. Sorry.
Okay.
First of all, our student is supposed to start tomorrow, and I have a work plan put together based on the work that my colleagues did in previous years. So I kind of knew what I was walking towards. Can they start working without a CFMWS email if they're comfortable using their own email address, and I can share a task list with them via Teams or something?
I would say yes. I don't know about using the personal email. Let me get back to you on that.
Okay. Because
I
our position is 100% remote, and so everything
need
is
that
going to have to be
CFM.
done electronically, right? So if they don't have a cfmws.com email address and they're supposed to start tomorrow, like that's why I asked the delay question. Like if we have to wait until they have that set up, then we're going to have to delay our start date for our student. So
I don't believe that is, I personally don't believe I had a CFMWS account until like a couple of days after I started working. So I don't think that there's an issue with that.
Okay.
But I can get back to you to be 100% sure.
Okay, perfect. I have another question. Sorry.
Yep.
Somebody else wants to jump in. Go ahead. So is it 12 weeks times the number of hours? Therefore, if the student is available to work longer and they, for example, take 2 weeks of vacation, can we add an extra couple of weeks of work at the end so that it's a total of 12? Or is it you have to finish by the 7th of August because the staff that are managing the program are going to be finishing their tasks on the 7th of August? Because with our start date of May the 15th,
No, I
that's what it
believe
is.
I believe it's 12 weeks of paid work. You know what I mean? So like they can't go beyond that, but
But is it by hours though? So is it like 12 times 37.5 and that's what's in the budget? Or is it they literally have to work?
no, I think it's hourly like that. And
Okay.
and then they can't go beyond August 30th. So
Can't go beyond August 30th.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
But I can also double check to make sure.
Nope. That's good.
Okay. Did you have another question, Debbie? Want to chat to you?
Sorry, I'm right here. So my I met with my student yesterday. He's lovely.
Yes.
And he asked a question that I didn't have an answer for about whether or not they will get a contract so that they have an awareness of what's expected on their end in relationship to work hours and that sort of thing.
Say that again. Sorry. He wanted to know if.
Well, he hasn't received what he would classify as a contract, like as a work contract for
like the job offer with.
Yeah, not like is the job offer at the is that the contract? He's looking for like a contract.
Okay.
So I said I would ask.
Okay, I think I know who you're talking about. Yes. Okay, so I can look into that also for you.
Okay, appreciate
Okay.
you. Thank you.
Because so far, all I know of is the job offer with the signed, like, I'm okay with this and I agree to be confidential and all of that.
Right.
So
Which
yeah.
we all got. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, but I'll ask that too.
Okay. So
Okay.
if we have a student who say has let us know, like my student has let us know ahead of time, I'm looking at needing this day and this day off, then we can potentially just add those 2 days to the end to make sure that they work as long as possible up to the 30th of August.
I would say yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, can a student start with an email? Okay, that was Debbie. Yep, got it. And then Marla has the last question here. Hi, Marla. When do we find out when our student is starting? So yeah, I mean, probably in the works soon. I believe, Marla, your student is a high school student, so it might be a later start date than a university or college student.
Okay, perfect. That's what I was understanding, that he's a high school student. So we'll get like at least like a week or two notice before they're, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I want to double check the chat to make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh, Manon, okay. During a vacation, if there's a start date in one of the weeks, can I take that? And if there's a stat day in one of the weeks, can that be added at the end as well? Good question, Manon. I would say yes, but I can get back to you, Manon, okay? That holiday.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you, Chloe. It's just that they have like a full work week of 5 days is why I'm asking.
Yeah, I get it. Okay, so stat day added on at the end, but before August 30th. Okay. And then Debbie has one last thing to clarify. Your program going to assign the training in My Talent. Yeah, it should be assigned by us. It'll be on there, organized for the student. Okay. I'm gonna make note of it though to make sure. Because I know Sophie really wanted to be here and she's not able to, but she's going to watch the recording and help us out too. So I can send this all out into an email also with some of these questions answered. Would that be okay with everyone? So we're all on the same page? Okay. Awesome. And then also, if you have any more questions, just send me a quick email or on Teams, and then I can just add that question to the list that'll go in the email, and then so everyone can know the details. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording, and if there's anything else, it's your last chance. Nope. Thank you for everyone for joining and for participating in the program. It means a lot to these students, and I think you'll be pretty proud of the work that they're gonna do for you this year. I know I'm very proud of them so far.